Vice Presidential Aspirant of the All Progressive Congress, personal Professor Osibajo. How are you doing, sir?
Very good.
Thanks for joining me. You know, we know all over the world that the position of the Vice President is usually dominant. And we do not see you talking about your campaign. We see that you've been very active.
Yeah.
So I would like to know, in what area Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in what area do you think your impact will be felt?
Well, you know, in Nigeria, the position of the Vice President has some constitutional responsibilities attached to it.
Yes.
The first is that the Vice President is the chairman of the National Council, the National Economic Council. He's also the Vice Chair of the Security Council. He's the Chair of the National Council of Privatization, supervises debt management, and also, of course, is a member of the Executive Council. So there are some constitutional responsibilities. In terms of policy formulation, shaping policy, the Vice President has a very active role to play. Then, of course, there are responsibilities that the President may choose to give the Vice President. I think in terms of shaping economic policy, national economic policy, the Vice President has a very significant role to play.
Okay, a number of people, especially the opposition, have criticized the IJ you brought out about feeding public students in the school. That is way too exorbitant and it's not visible. Okay.
Well, I think that they are wrong as usual. I mean, they do not, I mean, the ruling party obviously does not take into account the severe poverty in the country and the fact that most children in public schools come from families where it's extremely difficult to survive in Nigeria today. Besides, we also know that the feeding program helps learning, helps concentration of those children in school, helps learning, helps concentration, helps their health generally. Besides, a program like that is already being run in Osun State on APC side. It costs 2.64 billion a year for all of the children in Osun State. And just to explain how that works, as I said at some other gathering, a government minister in the ruling party spent 10 billion servicing a private jet. That's 4 years of feeding children in Osun State, in one state. So it's clear to me that it just depends on what your priorities are. If your priorities are personal, as the ruling party has frequently demonstrated, if the government is corrupt, the government is unprepared to take care of the people, then a feeding program would not be priority for it. But for the APC is a people-centered party, and that's important to us.
Okay, I want to talk to you about this. There are obvious problems in Nigeria, but we know that energy, that's power, electricity, petroleum, seems to be our major problems. I'd like to know what your party is looking at doing in these aspects the moment you take over.
I think the bigger problem is corruption. I think the bigger problem really is corruption. And when you look at it, a lot of these sectors are affected by corruption, affected by years and years of graft, years and years of corruption, layers and layers of corruption. It made it difficult to do anything. When you look at power, for instance, the country in 1999, the country was generating 3,000 megawatts of power. 32 billion odd US dollars after spent by the PD. The country is generating still under 4,000 megawatts of power, maybe 3,500. So, I mean, with all of the money that's been spent over these years, it's evident that a lot of it has just been wasted, poured down the drain. Now that power has been privatized, we're still experiencing difficulties, and this is because of the way that even the policy itself was implemented. What the APC intends to do is very simple. First, we're going to deal with some issues of corruption. We're going to deal with issues of investment in the power sector. Investment in the power sector are grossly delayed. We want to have a one-stop agency for approvals, general approvals in the power sector, and not the various agencies all over the place. Secondly, we intend to privatize transmission because at the moment the transmission grid has capacity for just about 7,200 megahertz. So even if you were to generate 10,000, 12,000 as has frequently claimed that it will, the transmission grid can't evacuate that much. So we need to privatize transmission, ensure that private capital comes into it, improves the capacity, and then we need to decentralize power generation itself.
Okay.
Yes.
There's one other issue I want you to look at. If you look at Africa as a whole, most of the governments of African countries have been wasting their natural resources and resources from their natural, materials.
Yes.
And Nigeria is no exception. Are you going to address this?
Well, that's really what I've been talking about: corruption, misgovernance, misapplication of resources. Just
how would the APC go about it?
Well, first in dealing with corruption, you start from the top. One of the reasons why anti-corruption programs fail is because the man at the top does not have the political will. It doesn't exemplify the kind of conduct that he preaches. And I think in general, every Nigerian accepts that if there's one thing that is very well known, it's a strong stand against corruption. And I think that political will is important in effecting the various anti-corruption programs.
I want to ask you this question, then I'll take you up on the lighter side. We've been talking about, it's our fear and the sadness in Nigeria about the situation in the north.
Yeah.
And sometimes they've said that the US or the UK have refused to sell weapons to Nigeria. If the APC takes over,
yes,
and they still refuse to sell to Nigeria, what situation do we have at hand?
There are so many excuses that the ruling party gives. These days, the kinds of weapons you're talking about are available all over the world. Many at some point claim to want to buy weapons from South Africa. The weapons are available all over the world. We are fighting against an untrained force in Boko Haram. Where do they get the weapons from? The weapons are available all over the world. There's no excuse to say that America failed to supply us weapons and we're handicapped. We can get weapons. Many of these weapons are available in different places of the world, different countries that make equipment, and in any event, even our own defense industry, we used to have that under General Buhari. We were already making rifles, we were already making ammunition and guns, and that factory was refurbished. What has happened over the years is nothing. So I don't think it's an excuse. I think that we have no difficulty with purchasing weapons, with equipping the army.
Okay, and there's something else I'd like to find out. Okay, so I would like to find out about your relationship with General Buhari. Have you met him before now?
Oh yes, met him before. Before I was nominated, yes, I had. As a matter of fact, I had discussed with him on the party's manifesto because I was involved in the manifesto drafting committee of the APC before I was nominated vice presidential candidate. I had occasion to interact with him and discuss issues concerning governance, concerning the manifesto, and concerning matters relating to the party. So I had met him before.
What would we say your relationship is like now? What would you say your relationship is like now with General Buhari?
Well, the relationship is excellent. We are agreed on the direction that our country needs to go. We have won, about the issues of corruption and what to do. We agreed that exemplifying the conduct that we preach is absolutely essential, and we're prepared to go.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay. And of course, we wish you well.
Thank you so much.
Come 28th of March.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.